If someone calls and says, hey, I think we saw him by the pond, we're going to the pond and checking.
For lack of a better term, we threw everything that we possibly could throw at this. I'll show you a picture of the map in just a moment. We absolutely obliterated covering the area where Sebastian could have walked off to.
If someone calls and says, hey, I think we saw him by the pond, we're going to the pond and checking. Nothing's off the table at this point.
It's in various locations, but I would say a certain percentage of them tend to go toward the same spot, which would have been a retention pond.
So the law enforcement dogs did not hit on the retention pond. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying they did. There was at least 3 that I know for a fact that did hit on the retention pond.
And the pond has been drained, correct? And there was nothing there?
Yes, ma'am. They have walked it, drained it, and there's nothing. The retention pond was only knee deep anyways.
I am very fascinated with the retention pond, and I don't know if you can elaborate on that at all, because the traces seem to stop. So the dogs trace Sebastian up to the retention pond, and then it just all of a sudden stopped. Is there like an explanation for that at all that you heard that makes sense to you, Chris?
The scent disappeared.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, it's
That's it.
yeah, the scent disappeared. Once they lost the trace, that's it.
Oh, okay.
That's so crazy to me still. Like, I don't even know how that happens. Like, it just poof.
And does it disappear in the water, or does it disappear like somewhere else outside of it? Do you
Well,
know
the dog
that?
went into the water.
Yeah.
But I mean, once he comes out of the water, if he comes physically out of the water,
Mm-hmm.
Well, they can't detect in the water, can they?
Some can.
the scent was strong enough that the dog jumped in the water.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Granted,
Okay, see,
keep
I
in
didn't
mind,
even know
this
that. Now, hold on.
retention-
If he jumped in the water, did they drain the pond?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, so all right. So here's the thing with the retention pond. The first dog beelines over that way. He's got a strong scent. He's gone. And I mean, there's an audio tape from the dispatch to the law enforcement officers, and you can hear all of this on that tape. So, for anybody that says I'm making this up, well, good luck. But on the tape, I mean, you hear the dispatcher tell the officers tell the dispatch, "Hey, said more people over here. Max has got a scent, and he's headed to the retention pond." They get there, he jumps in the water.
Max picked track back up, going into the construction site over here, back towards the beach. That's important behind you. It's awful muddy. Do you see any footprints, anything? You shouldn't have any shoes on. Hey, this is all dry, hard packed. I do have some footprints over here. Right there where you're standing? Yeah, leading right over here to the retaining pond. No shoes, just footprints. My shoes, that Max went straight into the pond. Max led me straight to the retaining pond. Over behind Willow Boulevard, he dove right into the water. There was a few footprints in some of the softer dirt, headed straight this way on the track that he was running. 1247, what kind of shoe does he wear? Size 10.
And the retention pond at the time was no deeper than my knee, so we're talking less than 3 feet deep. And they have drained the retention pond, didn't find anything, scent just disappears. Real easy.
You know, with that 911 or with that communication call, you can hear Max, or the handler of Max, talking about finding a footprint. Do you remember hearing that part of the radio?
There was a footprint and a boot print, and the footprint is not Sebastian's.
Okay. Interesting.
You said there's a footprint and a boot print, and the
Yeah, there was.
footprint is not Sebastian's.
Correct. Huh. So that is an active construction site.
Right.
Okay, they had to make the retention pond first and foremost. That retention pond would never existed. That was something they had to build. There is an overflow, so if the retention pond gets to a certain height, it does flood over into drain water runoff into a pipe.
Had you guys been down in that area within the last month or so?
Oh yeah. I mean, I live right next door to it. I mean, it's
makes sense, right?
It's common for us. Like, I will go through every so often and just look. I mean, it's just weird. It truly is.
So you mentioned the footprints, and yes, I understand there's construction going on there. But when you say footprints, was it like a actual footprint without a shoe, or there was no footprint without a shoe?
No, there's a footprint without a shoe. Now, keep in mind that there are already families in that subdivision living near that retention pond, and there are children that are running around there. So the footprint did not meet the size of Sebastian.
Okay.
Is it not odd that it would be one boot on and one boot off, though?
That's what I thought, unless you got a boot stuck in the mud and then you... Were there tire tracks on the print?
We were told that there was a boot print and there's a footprint over there. I never said they were side by side. I didn't say where they were.
Right. Okay, got you.
So I don't want people to start thinking that, oh my God, no, I didn't say that. I just said that there was a boot print over there and there was a footprint over there. So.
And they never mentioned if it was the same size or anything like that either.
The boot print was way too big to be the footprint.
Okay. And when Max was dragging towards the scent, did he take the main road or like between the houses? Do you know anything about that?
When law enforcement was came back out to the public and said that it wasn't a like a positive hit or a positive track, and I'm sure that they talked to y'all, and you're obviously talking about them following the path. Is the reason why they said what they did because it didn't lead to finding Sebastian, or is it because they're saying the dogs didn't have a track at all?
So I don't actually know. All I know is there were 3 dogs that followed the same path, 3 different dogs. They weren't in the same groups either. It was different groups. And 3 dogs do wind up going to that same spot. Now, that's 3 out of anywhere from 13 to 18 different dogs that had
That's
been
what
in
I
my
was just
house.
going to ask. Were there other dogs that went other ways?
Oh yeah. Every single dog all took its own little path doing whatever. 3 of them went to the same area, but most of them all kind of went in their own area. They all pretty much started the exact same spot.
Okay.
Most of them, so like on day 1, we had, I know for a fact there was 5 dogs that walked in my house. 5.
Right.
On day 1. And that was, so Max, the Belgian Malinois.
He came in first. And we got a blue heeler, 2 bloodhounds, and a blue tick. That was day 1. Yeah.
On the first day, Chris, how many of those 5 dogs went to the retention pond?
1 that I know of.
1 of them. So 4 did not. Okay, gotcha.
Correct. And like I said, it was 3 different dogs from 3 different groups. But so in this picture, the red line is the path, the general path of where the dogs went. Starts at my house, comes out my house. Now this is coming out of the house, not if you're coming out of the house, the dog comes down the steps, hooks a left, goes down the side of my house, the side of the fence, and it comes back up in the yard, the front yard. Then it hooks a diagonal left, runs through my neighbor's backyard. From there, goes all the way down to that street, which is called Kellen. And then it hooks a left and goes up Kellen. when it gets up to the top of Kellen, there is that's where they're cutting the road in, or the new subdivision's getting cut in, and you'll have access to our subdivision that way. Although I don't think they're supposed to, but anyways. But then the donk shoots across that back area, runs all the way across, turns right, and heads straight down to the retention pond.
This would be Max's route, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Headed straight this way on the track that he was running. 1247, what kind of shoe does he wear? Size 10.
No, understand something. There's no silly question. Now, no, Sebastian was never, to my knowledge, ever over there by himself alone in that area.
Okay, thank you.